Ladies and gentlemen, I have an absolute icon in front of you today. And I know that this is off to a pretty biased start, but that's because it is, all right? And let me explain. You see, I've been living with the third generation Apple TV 4K for a little over 2 years to bring you a long-term review. In other words, I have lived with this thing longer than my little brother has been with his girlfriend, and he's already in love with her, okay? So I think that I know what I'm talking about, and I am happy to report that after 2 years of ownership, this is one of my favorite products to recommend. This has been absolutely reliable. It comes with a USB-C remote. It is Dolby Vision enabled, depending on your cable and TV, we'll get into it. If you pair it with a 4K OLED, you get an unbeatable viewing experience. I mean, seriously, you will rival movie theaters. And that's not even touching this thing's compatibility with the other products in its Apple ecosystem. The third generation Apple TV 4K is powered by the A15 Bionic chip, or the same processor that's in the iPhone 13. But why should you care about that necessarily? One word: longevity. If you think about what I just said, the same processor that is meant to go in your box for streaming, your Netflix, your Hulu, whatever you'll have, that is the same processor that is running all of your daily computing processes in an entire day in your phone, right? That's an insane amount of processing power. That means that this thing is gonna last a pretty long time, much longer than my 2 years that I've gotten out of it, and who knows, maybe we'll even do a 5-year check-in down the road. You see, that's just the start though. This thing also operates as the home hub for all of my HomeKit and Thread-enabled devices. If that means nothing to you, basically it means that the smart door lock for my office can communicate with my other HomeKit-enabled devices. This would be useful for maybe me unlocking my office door and a prompt popping up in another room on an Apple TV. Let's say if maybe I wasn't the one to unlock it and maybe a child was or something like that. So this is added functionality that you never see happening and that some users might not tap into, but it is there if you would like it. I find it useful when I want to turn off the lights in my house, but I'm already in bed. Additionally, it means that all of your Apple products that you already own are going to get a little bit more connected. For instance, if you own a pair of AirPods and you whip them out of their case, you'll get a prompt up in the top right-hand corner of the Apple TV asking you if you'd like to switch over your audio. This is phenomenal for when I am in bed with my girlfriend, she is reading, and I'm on my 26th rewatch of It's Always Sunny. Let's talk about what a looker she is though. It is absolutely beautiful to look at. You can organize the apps in any way you want them. You center your 6 main apps in your top bar, and I think that is the perfect amount for me. You know what the best thing about this interface is though? Absolutely no ads. They are completely free from this screen and it is amazing to see. It also has Bluetooth 5.0 and Wi-Fi 6. I have never noticed any issues with speed when it comes to buffering videos. I pay for a gigabit internet connection, so the bottleneck would likely be the Apple TV itself. And again, I haven't noticed any issues with this. I've also used this in conjunction with the Wi-Fi 6, I want to say, mesh Wi-Fi system for a while now. Again, it's never really been an issue for me. Maybe some of your Thread devices may not carry over, but again, this is no fault of the Apple TV. This thing is also great at gaming with one gigantic caveat, okay? One gigantic caveat that we will cover in part 2 of this video, titled The Not So Great. Okay, so on to the not so great section of this video. The Apple TV is really great for gaming as long as you only enjoy Apple Arcade or iPhone games. If you are looking for an experience that is at all similar to the Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5 console, you're gonna need to look elsewhere for this. I have heard of some people finding some success using maybe a PC setup with streaming to their Apple TV, but I'm just here to let you know that's an option and not walk that path with you. Next up, Ethernet, baby. Let's talk about it. Okay, so when the 64 gigabyte version of this Apple TV first came out, and they said that it wasn't gonna have an Ethernet port, I'm not gonna lie to you. I almost went postal. And you know what? I think I still might. It feels like one of those things they specifically left off of the lower end model to give it some sort of like product separation within their product lineup. And you know, I understand it. Sure, they need to make money. I also think that making me buy the 128 gigabyte model to get an Ethernet port is insane, because I don't know how many people actually store any sort of media locally on their Apple TV. Maybe photos for some people, but it seems a little bit weird. I don't know. And I know, like, I just got really upset about the fact that the 64 gigabyte model just doesn't come with an Ethernet port. I've actually never used the Ethernet ports on mine. That's more due to where I have Ethernet run in my house though, and not due to the actual device itself. So I would like to have it on the lower end models. I hope they do change that in future lineups. Okay, so we're almost at the end, I promise. A little bit of a rant incoming. We're gonna talk about the HDMI 2.1 compatibility that this thing has. So this device, this Apple TV 4K, is indeed HDMI 2.1 compatible. That in and of itself, amazing. I love that. The problem is that they don't include an HDMI 2.1 cable in the box. An HDMI 2.1, that's a relatively new standard. 2017, 2018 is when it really started to kind of get into the mainstream and everything. But you know, the LG C10, LG C1, I want to say that was the first real push we saw including them in TVs. So a lot of people, if they have an older 4K television or a little bit more of a lower end 4K television, might not be able to take full advantage of those Dolby Vision features that maybe someone with a newer TV would. This is particularly an issue if, let's say, I do own an LG C1, but I have maybe used every single HDMI cable that's come with my TV to hook it up to my PlayStation or my Nintendo Switch or something like that, and I don't have one for my Apple TV. I think if you are selling a streaming box, you should include an HDMI cable. Call me old-fashioned, but I think there's an entire issue here that could be completely avoided if you would have just included the HDMI cable from the factory. I get it, you know, there are sustainability issues around it and everything like that, but I'd rather have the HDMI cable personally. Last but not least, this thing has 99% of the time been absolutely amazing. But the 1% of the time when it doesn't work, it is really annoying. No device is perfect, so I'm absolutely willing to live with the bugs, but I have experienced an issue with Plex and YouTube, where if I leave content paused on them and I let it go to sleep, that when I try to wake it up, the screen will just remain black. I can't replicate the bug. So really, I'm gonna chalk it up to the Apple TV just because it is happening across two of the apps, and I do notice that it happens in the same way. Other than that, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It happens maybe once or twice a week, and you can clear the issue by just turning off your Apple TV from the remote and turning it back on again. So really, I don't think it's that bad, but I do think it's worth mentioning. I had to fit this complaint into the video somewhere just in case someone experiences the same issue. They'll know that they're not alone. That was pretty much every good and bad thing I have to say about the 3rd gen Apple TV 4K after 2 years of ownership. Now, it is currently January of 2025, and there is a rumored Apple TV 4K that'll be releasing later this year. So the question is, should you buy this? I mean, it was released in 2022, I want to say, November of 2022. So should you buy it? Yeah, probably. Hear me out. I think that if you want this, you should buy this. The only thing I have seen rumored so far for the new Apple TV that is coming out later this year is a new processor. And unless you're really maxing out the capacity for Apple Arcade and you're noticing a slowdown in that, or you're really jazzed about maybe faster app switching, I don't think it's going to be worth the upgrade. This one is plenty fast. I still haven't noticed a slowdown. The Apple animations take a little bit to get through, but honestly, that's an Apple thing. I have the same experience on my iPhone. This one, it's just so good. Pick one up, you know, and with the newly released one coming out later this year, if these are on sale, you know, don't hesitate to pick one up, especially once those 128 gig models get on sale. Get the one with the Ethernet port. Do it, you deserve it, okay? So yeah, I absolutely think it's a win. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. If you want to see some more from this channel, maybe consider subscribing, and I hope you have a great day. I can't wait to become parasocial friends with you. Goodbye.